Hello, and welcome to the Epic Saga Society, the podcast that follows our two favorite sagas, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I would like to introduce my co-host. He's a Geonosian farmer, Carlos Alatorre.
Man, it's funny because I was literally going to say something like Geonosian as well. So yeah, allow me to introduce my co-host. He is also a Geonosian. He serves the queen who lays all the larvae, and he takes all that larva and covers it with a nice little jelly to feed them.
Hey, it's hard work, man. The queen is... the queen.
Yeah. I mean, she is. So, Calvin Hamilton, everyone.
Thank you for that introduction. We're back after a brief hiatus, and we're excited to dive back into the Star Wars universe, and we're continuing our review of the Star Wars films, where we'll be discussing Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which, say what you will, I love this film, and I'm excited to talk about it today.
Yeah, I absolutely love this film. It just kind of changed it up a bit with, like, what do you call that? Detective noir, investigation, conspiracy, partial love story, beginning of a war. So I can't wait. Yeah,
I'm excited to get into it.
When did this come out?
This would have been 2002.
Yeah, 2002. Y'all have plenty of time. So here's your spoiler warning. That's all you get. With that, let's get into it. So we begin with our traditional opening crawl, and it's 10 years after the Phantom Menace. Galactic Republic is spiraling into crisis. So there's a separatist movement led by the former Jedi Master Count Dooku. Who is this mysterious Count Dooku? I don't know. We'll find out. So he's threatening peace across the galaxy. The Senate is preparing to debate the Military Creation Act. This is really important. I think you and I were talking about how there just wasn't a lot of information that probably should have been presented about what this is. But yeah, I think it's very important just because of the nature of the Republic. They don't have a standing military. So this is a proposal to form the standing army to protect the Republic. Senator Padme Amidala, our favorite queen, former queen of Naboo, she returns to Coruscant to vote against the act, right? She's a senator now. She's no longer serving as royalty in Naboo. Now, upon arriving on Coruscant, Padme narrowly escapes an assassination attempt that kills her decoy, Corday. Super sad to see Corday die a few minutes into the screen. She did say sorry that she died, which I kind of laugh about that because it's like, man, you did your job. Like, you don't need to say sorry at all. Like,
you have nothing to apologize for. You're sorry for doing your job? No.
Yeah, we are sorry that you died. Like, exactly. That's unfortunate. And then we cut to the office of the Chancellor, who is now Palpatine. Chancellor Palpatine, our good old grandfatherly, wholesome, nice character. He's telling the Jedi that he doesn't know how much longer he can hold off the vote for the Military Creation Act. And then Padme walks in. The Chancellor's happy to see her. He's glad she's not dead. But he suggests that Obi-Wan Kenobi and his apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, protect her. And so that night, we see the assassin, Zam Wesell. We see her getting contracted to do a job, and that job is to assassinate Padme. And we find out that she is the one who actually hit the ship that caused Corday to die. So she strikes again with these, I don't know what they are, like centipedes? Alien?
Yeah, they're like toxic centipedes.
Yeah, toxic bugs. I don't want those things anywhere near me. But she actually contracts this out to a droid. So someone tells her to do something, then she tells the droid to do something, and the droid sends the little centipede things. I thought that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
So the droid lets them in the room. Anakin and Obi-Wan stop it from happening. And then we get this pretty awesome chase scene through Galactic City, which I thought was so cool when I was a kid. When I was like, a teenager watching this, I was like, this is awesome. You mentioned the music, the drums, like the energy, seeing Coruscant, because we saw Coruscant in the first time, but it was just kind of like from Anakin's point of view, little boy, and the Jedi's point of view. Now we're seeing like the nightlife, and like the traffic and like that, all this stuff. So that was awesome. They're weaving through traffic, trying to chase down Zam Wesell. They eventually corner her inside a nightclub before she can reveal who hired her. Azam is killed by a toxic dart fired from a mysterious figure with a jetpack, and he blasts away. And it's the same figure that we see earlier who gives Azam the centipedes to take out Padme. Now, back at the Jedi Temple, Obi-Wan is tasked with tracking down the assassin's employer, while Anakin continues guarding Padme and escorting her home to Naboo. And Anakin is often frustrated by Obi-Wan's authority. He welcomes the chance to be on his own with Padme, but he's a little bit impulsive and rambunctious. That's my kind word for putting it. Padme actually has Jar Jar Binks assume her Senate responsibilities in her absence. That's right, everyone. Jar Jar is back, and he is a representative. So don't let anyone talk their crap about my boy Jar Jar.
My guy Jar Jar out here. You got haters, bro, but we're not haters, bro.
The true Sith Lord, Jar Jar Binks. No, yeah. So first off, there's a lot that happens here. We got that chase scene through Coruscant, which was awesome. We also have the beginning awkward love story,
Yes.
Anakin and Padme. That opening scene with him and her. I don't know. I want to ask you what you thought about that, where he's like grown more beautiful. For a senator.
For a senator, and then she's like, "Oh, you'll always be that little boy I knew on Tatooine."
Oh, wow. Like that's like you could just see him deflate.
Right. No, I'm a huge fan of this movie, so this is what you would expect from a 19-year-old boy who, or 20-year-old, 19, he's like 1920.
1920, yeah.
He grew up a slave. He gets to leave, and then he's immediately thrust into this monk-like Jedi order where he's told to remove attachments, not love, not do anything, focus on learning the Force, right? So you have this 19-year-old now man, right, who sees this woman that he's idolized, thought about, dreamt about for the last decade.
Yeah.
For the last decade. So of course he's gonna act like that. Even the way that he's standing, he's like kind of off to the side, like shoulder pointing towards Padme. I don't know if you noticed that, like his body language. I'm like,
bro, his head tilt downward with the eyes.
Exactly. But this makes and you and I were talking about this before we hopped on. This is exactly what you would expect from a person in his situation. Yes, he is awkward. He doesn't know any better. He hasn't been around girls. He's been like doing missions and like learning to use the Force.
He's low key incel vibes right here. This guy. No, speak on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then also in the same thread, when he's going back and forth with Obi-Wan, I think I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, he's not very Jedi-like. He always is combating." What teenager do you know that listens to their parents and doesn't like fight back and push back?
Thank you.
This is so we forget how we were to our parents and our teachers when we were in middle school and high school, talking all that smack back to them, talking back, being snarky. So he's a regular 19-year-old, 20-year-old man who has been through what he's been through. And so I think to answer your question, I think it's very realistic. I'm all for it, and it all makes sense.
Yeah. It's a lot to expect. Even if he's the chosen one, it's a lot to expect from this kid who's thrust into the center of the galaxy. Now he's basically a quasi-diplomat for, like you said, a monastic order where there's an extraordinary amount of deference given to him and an extraordinary amount of power. And they're like, you need to be a certain way. You need to conform to this ideal. It's a lot. It's a lot. You definitely said it. Every teen has a rebellious streak at some point. Even the most perfect understanding teen is going to have some rebellious. So the awkwardness, it's expected.
Yeah.
And it's just funny that Obi-Wan's like, oh my God, what is this kid saying?
I know.
What the heck? I'm not gonna lie, I cringed a little bit when he was just being that forward with her in front of everybody, in front of her security, in front of Jar Jar, who's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, they're like,
but it was it's not like he was born in the order. Like, he has to contend with all these emotions. At least when you're born in the order, you're kind of I hate to use the word indoctrinated, but you're trained from youth to suppress all that. You know, and he's going through puberty there. Who the hell knows what puberty is like in the Jedi Temple?
Exactly. Yeah. And another thing I want to bring up is this is like two things. One, when Anakin, what I like Obi-Wan and Anakin's dynamic
Yeah.
because Anakin's like, don't worry, like Obi-Wan's like, you were using her as bait because she turned off the cameras. He was like, don't worry, I can sense everything that's going on in that
Yeah.
room. And then Obi-Wan was like, your senses are not that attuned, my young apprentice. And
Yeah.
Anakin was like, and yours are. And Obi-Wan was like, possibly.
Yeah. There's a little competition there.
I know, such a great dynamic, and
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's like, well, maybe it is, but shut up.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I love that little bit of dialogue. But what I was really going to mention is when Anakin rushes in and he has extreme precision. He like completely like swipes those two
Slices the
small
centipedes.
centipedes, like
Yeah.
poisonous centipedes. And I'm like, yo,
Not a,
with
not a
that big
hair
old
on her
lightsaber,
head harmed. Yeah.
completely
She still looks beautiful.
unblemished.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then
Like, yeah.
the guy that's selling Obi-Wan death sticks, this is like
Yeah.
his name is Matt Dorn, and fun fact, he played Mouse in the Matrix.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah,
just
good
a quick
call.
fun fact, because I
That's
know
cool.
we also love the Matrix here. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Hmm?
Yeah, that's right. Want to buy some death sticks? It's
yeah.
like, no.
You don't want to tell me. Nah, I don't want to sell you death sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
An artist actually made like a little small sketch of like what happened after that. And like he went home and he started taking care of his son and like he ended up having like a nice life with his family. That's a nice positive take.
All from a
This.
simple Jedi mind trick. That's so nice. But yeah, this opening, there's like so much to unpack here, and I know we don't have that much time, but one, I think the conversation between the Chancellor and like all the Jedi there is really cool, because we get to see this dynamic that the Republic has with the Jedi. So you have Yoda and Mace like appealing to the Chancellor to be like, hey, like, can you please like put this off a little longer, because the Jedi are like, we don't like want to like dive into a war, right? And Yoda knows, and Mace Windu knows that there's the shroud of the dark side is clouding their vision, so they're like, we don't want to go into some kind of like war that we can't see, because we can't even see the future, and if you do this, like, we don't know what to expect. We're completely thrown off our game.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like subtext that we is added to that scene.
And it's also important to note, just to add on to what you're saying, that they can't reveal too much to the Chancellor, because they, at this point, they know that their power is kind of diminished in the sense that they can't see as far into the future anymore. They know that there's obviously something going on. Yoda says this later on in the movie, that arrogance and kind of hubris are something that are popping up more and more amongst the younger Jedi. And so he knows which way the wind is blowing, but they still can't be like, hey, Chancellor, we're not as powerful as we used to be, and we're worried about that. Like, they can't do that. They're going to give away their power. And they're looking at the Chancellor like a politician, and they see all these politicians as like, we have enemies. Even though the Senate respects us, and I'm using quotes here, they respect us, they defer to us, we serve them, they ask us for advice, but we still got a lot of enemies here. They're already playing a political game out of necessity. So it is this interesting thing where they can't fully explain to somebody, look, this is why we don't think it's a good idea, because they're going to lose a lot of leverage, a lot of like political capital. And I think it's interesting that the guy that they probably would want to tell that to, but they can't, is the guy who knows that that's happening.
Exactly. Like, he already knows.
He already
like,
knows.
He's the Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
This is all a part of the plan. So, yeah, I think it's important to note to the audience what this Military Creation Act, the whole point of it is that the Republic doesn't want this. Like, they never want to get to this point where there's so much turmoil that they can't solve anything through debate, through negotiation, through democratic tools. They don't want to have to make a standing army. And obviously that's a lot more idealistic than our world, but it worked for many thousands of years. And I think the way, correct me if I'm wrong, Calvin, but the way my understanding in the Star Wars universe, how it works, at least in this time period, is that the different systems, they have their own standing armies, and they have their own militias or whatever. And the Republic provides them protection in the form of like influence and money and leverage and, the power of law. but they're also saying we allow you to have a standing army if you need to protect yourself from bandits, from, I don't know, drug lords, from cartels, from crime syndicates, from anything. And then if they don't have that or don't have the money, they contract out to mercenaries, or they contract out to corporations that have armies. So you can see how this kind of becomes sticky, but I imagine it would be exorbitantly expensive to have a standing military to protect the entire galaxy.
Yes. That's crazy money. And it really makes you wonder. I know we're going to get to this later. Where did Count Dooku get the money to fund this? Was it from his own personal fortune? Because it wasn't Republic funds. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Because they had to have been paying the Kaminoans a pretty penny. But I know we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. I imagine, just entertaining that idea, I imagine these partnerships, they're probably contracts for like many years. So they probably receive what I imagine like a deposit or something, and then they pay over time.
That makes sense.
I wonder if it's not just money. I wonder if it's also like certain concessions.
And like what?
I don't know, maybe like a representative seat in the Senate, or maybe
for the Kaminoans.
Yeah, or like, but not just as Kaminoans, but also as cloners, because Trade Federation they're all Nemoidians, but they have a seat as Nemoidian, and then they have a seat as the Trade Federation.
I don't know about that, because not even Obi-Wan knew who they were. Like, he didn't even know the planet existed. So I doubt that they have representation, and they're also in the Outer Rim, just outside the Rishi Maze. So they're not even a part of the Republic.
Wait, so hold up. They're not even in the room, so they're not being taxed?
No, as far as I know, no, because they're in the Outer Rim.
So what have they been doing this whole time?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Netflix, sure. Like, all right,
chilling, making a fortune. I don't know.
Well, because they're still selling. Yeah, that is weird. That's very weird. I guess they were comfortable with not having representation.
Like, they're fine with it. They live in the Outer Rim. They keep Dex told Obi-Wan, like, these cloners keep to themselves.
Yeah, and they got a lot of money.
Yeah,
and there's not that many of them. Yeah, that's a really interesting. I don't know. Maybe we can do a deep dive on the Kaminoans at some point, but
for sure. And before we move on, just want to say I like how in the bar it does a lot of showing and not telling. The difference between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Obi-Wan tells Anakin, he's like, "I'm going to go for a drink," and then Obi-Wan is like patient. He waits, and Anakin's like rushing in there, like looking like, "Where is she?" And then Obi-Wan has a smooth move. He's like, bam, and then like immediately deactivates after cutting off Zam Wessel's hand. I'm like, that was smooth, Obi-Wan.
Very cool. Very reminiscent of the cantina scene in A New Hope.
Exactly. I see what they're going for.
Yeah. I think it's funny that he's drinking on the job, but yeah, that's cool.
Hey, sometimes you gotta pop out and show them. Sometimes
I get it.
All right. So after talking to Dex, Joe Costanu, and Yoda, Obi-Wan's investigation leads him to the remote world of Kamino, a planet mysteriously erased from the Jedi archives. And two things I want to mention about this. Joe Costanu, she acts like these are her archives, and like she made the archives herself.
That girl is...
It is not in our archives. It does not exist. And then she gets up and leaves. I'm like, okay, ma'am.
Yeah. We've all had teachers like this. We've all had principals and librarians like this. Like, calm down.
Yep. And then I love how the plot thickens here, because Yoda tells Obi-Wan that only a Jedi could have erased the files. So the plot is really, really thickening. So he goes to Kamino, and he discovers that a secret clone army is being grown for the Republic. And Prime Minister Lama Su explains that the army was commissioned years ago by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas.
What?
And this is crazy, because Obi-Wan tells Lama Su that Master Sifo Dyas was killed almost 10 years ago. And after talking to them a little more, the Kaminoans tell Obi-Wan that the clones are being modeled after this bounty hunter named Jango Fett. And after this, Obi-Wan does a walkthrough with the Kaminoans, and they're showing, you see numerous amounts of clones. You see like child clones, you see like adult clones, and the Kaminoans are walking Obi-Wan through like their process, how they're able to modified their genetic structure to make them less independent and more docile. And Obi-Wan is just like taking it all in. And when sharing a bit about their what do you call it, a host
Yeah.
or Jango Fett, they revealed to Obi-Wan that he requested an unaltered clone for himself,
Oh,
who
yeah.
we know to be Boba Fett, a nice tie to the original trilogy. And after this, they take Obi-Wan to meet Jango, and what a great scene this is,
Love
right?
this scene. Love it.
Such a great scene. So they're having a lot of veiled conversations, all right, with Obi-Wan asking, how did he get to do this job? And I like how Jango Fett's like, I was hired by a man named Tyrannus of the Moves of Bogdan. And we don't know it at the time, but Darth Tyrannus is Count Dooku's Sith name.
Yeah.
Which lets us know, okay, so Count Dooku's behind this. Like that, but we don't know that at this point because we don't know Count Dooku's name yet, right?
As Tyrannus. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're going back and forth, and
I don't think at any point. Oh, actually, yes, that's right. At the end.
at the very
That's
end,
right. Yeah.
welcome home, Lord Tyrannus. You have done
That's
well.
right. That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. It's the only time though.
Yeah.
And I also remember I used to have the trading cards from this game. Do you remember the trading cards? And it had Darth Tyrannus on his thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, super good. But they're talking, and Obi-Wan does eventually realize that Jango is the killer he's been tracking. And so Obi-Wan reports back to Mace Windu and Yoda, and they're absolutely shocked that an army is being created, and they order him to find this bounty hunter and bring him to Coruscant so that they can question him. And I'm just like, how was Obi-Wan planning on getting Jango Fett back? Like, he only had this little ship for himself. Was it going to use Jango Fett ship? Like, what was it going to use to get him back?
Just going to strap him to the hull.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, sit on my lap. We'll fly together. Like, what were you planning on doing, bro? But
he was going to tell the R2 unit to stay and just shove him in that compartment.
You see Jango Fett just there like,
yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. I don't know what he would have done. Like, that's so weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe he would have called in, like, I don't know, called in some support or something.
Right. But a fierce battle breaks out, and Jango, he's using all the tricks up his sleeve, and he uses his jetpack and his weapons to escape. Obi-Wan plants a homing device on Jango's ship, the Slave One, and follows him to Geonosis. And meanwhile, we've been cutting back and forth to Naboo with Anakin and Padme, and they're spending a lot of time together on this beautiful planet. They're growing closer. Some would call it cringy. I call it romantic. And they're just getting to know each other, talking to each other. And Anakin does confess his love, but Padme insists that a relationship between them is impossible because she's a senator and he is a Jedi. So, again, a lot here, Carlos. I just have two questions for you.
Sure.
First, what do you think about the scene between Obi-Wan and Jango Fett when they first meet? Like that conversation. Man. How good is it?
I love this scene. I think it's so great. This cat and mouse game that's going on where Obi-Wan's trying to figure out, okay, who is this guy Jango? How is he connected? First of all, how is he connected to this whole cloning operation? And he's trying to process all this, but at the same time, he's like, I need to figure out who's trying to assassinate Senator from Naboo. And so he's like, is this man a contender? And he knows that he's lying, but he can't prove anything. And he's like, lying about what? And meanwhile, Jango is like, oh, I know that there's a Jedi on my tail, and I need to make sure that they don't know. But Jango's also making sure that Obi-Wan and the Jedi don't find out what else is going on, like in the background with everything in Geonosis. So I love this scene. There's just so much subtext. There's so much unspoken, like, dialogue happening between them in just these short questions. Like, ever made it as far as the interior is Coruscant? Once or twice.
Recently?
Recently, yeah. Possibly. It's like, interesting. I don't know. It's great.
Yeah.
And I like the end where they close out the conversation because it's a veiled threat. It's like, oh, I look forward to seeing your clones in action. You know, you must be very proud. He's like, oh, they'll do their job well. I guarantee that. So it's like, I'm clocking you, man. And he's like, yeah, I know you are. And come at me because I'm ready. Like, it's great. I love it. It's not quite there, like with Heat, like Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. But I just love this type of tension and kind of like, adjacent, like crime drama noir style, like in a Star Wars film. And I would have loved to have seen more of this.
Agreed. It's such an incredible conversation, and you can feel the tension
Yeah.
when they're talking in that room. And then you see Boba Fett is looking at him like all sus
Yeah,
and
he's like,
stuff.
oh, what's about to happen
Yeah,
right now?
like what's up here? And then Django's like, pack your things, we're leaving. And so another quick question. I even as a kid, I still wrestle with this. I'm like, how did Jango Fett get the better of a Jedi Knight, a fully trained Jedi Knight? Is Jango Fett really that good? I thought that this would be like super easy for Obi-Wan. Like, oh, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna arrest him, but nah, it wasn't that easy. What do you make of that?
Well, I remember as a kid reading, and this was sometime after episode 1. I remember reading some information that said the only people that can kill Jedi are like Sith or other Jedi or bounty hunters. And the reasoning behind the bounty hunters was that they're so resourceful. And the people who become bounty hunters are very crafty, they're wily, they can pivot quickly, and they have a lot of endurance, like that kind of thing. It's like they are survivors. So I always, ever since I read that, I always took that and I thought about it. Anytime I saw scenes like this, I was like, well, before the Sith come back into the picture, I imagine the Jedi were like, well, the only people we have to worry about are bounty hunters or assassins of some kind. Not that they're a huge threat, but they can get the jump on us. And so yeah, so that's kind of what I made it like, because I think of the Clone Wars and Cad Bane, and Cad Bane was also one of these really resourceful bounty hunters who just always survived. He always had a way out. He always had tricks up his sleeve. And so that's why I really liked the scene with Jango and Obi-Wan where they're fighting, because I don't know how many bounty hunters Obi-Wan's encountered, but like Jango's a very resourceful and very formidable opponent. And I think Jango knows that he probably can't kill Obi-Wan, but he can distract him and he can like throw him off balance. And really all he needs to do is knock him off that platform. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I made of it. I don't know. What do you think, like, when it comes to that?
No, it just goes to show me I have to remember that this is, we're in episode 2 now, and like this is Obi-Wan the Jedi Knight, not Obi-Wan the like Jedi Master that we know him to eventually be. And so he, even though he was like powerful enough to defeat Darth Maul, man, like a bounty hunter like Jango Fett has, to your point, a bunch of tricks up his sleeve. And it was just challenging for me as a kid because I'm like, well, no one should be able to be a Jedi except for like a Sith. But, I think that Jango was using a bunch of unconventional tactics that were really like throwing Obi-Wan off. And Obi-Wan's not elite yet. Sorry. When he gets to the time of Revenge of the Sith post-war, he becomes elite. He's not elite yet. He's just like really good. Or like I'd say good. Even like even when he's fighting Count Dooku, I'm like, you haven't mastered Form 3 yet with Surisu. So yeah.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan's not a master. That's a good point. I think the Jedi Masters could have like taken Jango. Maybe they would have. Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe depending on the situation, maybe they would have been like, whoa, okay, let me get my bearings first. But yeah, Obi-Wan, I mean, Darth Maul took down, well, what should have been a master. Qui-Gon was at master status, but he didn't accept the role as master. So like Darth Maul took him down, and then it took a long time for Obi-Wan to get to the point to like eliminate Darth Maul. It was like he was locked into this fight. So I don't know. I feel like with bounty hunters, like you said, they're unconventional tactics. This is all asymmetrical fighting. Like they're dodging, they're like trying to get them off balance and get them where they're weak. So I just feel like that's what a good bounty hunter does. And I can tell you, man, from playing Jedi Survivor, those bounty hunters are no joke. Like, yeah, you could, no, I'm serious. Like, especially when they gang up on you, because like it's hard. It's really hard. You have to do a lot of evasion. So yeah, I mean, I think Obi-Wan did a great job, obviously. What was funny about that little scene? I know we're not there yet, or I guess we did get there, but when he kicks him off and he's like still tied to him, like the cable wrapped around Obi-Wan on his
Oh
hands,
yeah,
and then he kicks him off
yeah,
and he's like, oh, not good.
yeah.
I like all these like silly one-liners like that Obi-Wan says.
And he's funny. That reminds me, I recently have been replaying a bunch of games, but two games that I recently replayed. There's Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, where you play as Kyle
Love
Katarn.
it. Love
And
it.
then
Yep.
and then there's another one like Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, which is like
Mhm.
a sequel to that game. And there's one level in that game where you fight Boba Fett, and he's he's so powerful that you can't kill him. You just have to like evade him as best
Oh,
as you can, and like just try to like throw things back at him. But like he's so OP that like when you beat the level is by running away, not even killing him. That's how good Boba Fett is.
yeah. And I mean, not to get too lost in the weeds with this, but I think at this point Jango would have Beskar armor, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, and it looks
So
like it too.
yeah, so I imagine that there probably is very little that Obi-Wan could do to him. Like, well, no, I guess Mace Windu does chop his head off, but
Mace Windu, yeah, he gets right in that soft spot right here.
yeah. Yeah, I guess for Django it's really like I just got to stay away from you.
Yeah, keep your distance.
I think it's hard for like anyone who's not at master status, but even if they are at master status, if you're getting shot at, it's not like you're in that space where you could like really get dealt, like fall into the force and use some really advanced level power.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that concentration and focus. And if you're getting shot at like constantly, it's kind of hard to put yourself in that space unless you're super powerful like Anakin. So I do think it's a little tough when there's constantly things coming at you, flamethrowers, something tied you. Now you're being knives are flying at you. Now like blaster bolts are coming at you. I think it's hard to get into that space of like stopping it with your mind, or I don't know, force choking. Like I think it's hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's why, and I think that Obi-Wan probably hasn't mastered because he's not a master yet. Like those like force powers,
Mm-hmm.
it's like force push, force pull, and like using the full range of force abilities for those long range combat situations. Because like in a situation like this, force stasis would have been the perfect force move to
Yeah.
use, but he probably hadn't mastered that yet. Like, and I'm referencing so that the
And
audience knows force stasis we see in canon Kylo Ren using on Finn and one of the opening scenes of The Force Awakens. So yeah,
yeah, I feel like that's a tough one to master unless you have an aptitude for it.
for sure.
Yeah, real quick, that these love scenes with Anakin and Padme, I know we talked about them before, but I just want to get your take on them. I know we said like it just makes sense. It does make sense that this awkward teen going on 20 years old who's never talked to a woman, especially a woman as gorgeous as Natalie Portman, is
Right.
like knows what to say or do and probably thinks everything he's saying is like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the sand, oh man, the sand thing and the slow stroke of her arm, I was like, bro, what, what are you doing?
It works
Stop.
though, bro. She kisses him right as soon as he starts stroking her shoulder. She kisses him.
I don't think any of those particular moves worked. I think she was just intent on kissing him regardless. I feel like there's sometimes when a woman likes a man, she just suffers. She just tolerates some of the more
Bro,
embarrassing things he does.
bro, you don't know that she was suffering. Look, you can see in
Oh,
that
yeah.
scene in particular. She looked when he was stroking her shoulder. She looked at him, and then, bro, that she had passionate eyes for him.
Oh,
Like,
jeez.
wow, I really want you.
She's like, this
Bro,
is the move. This is the move. That's true. I keep forgetting she's only 24.
she's so young.
No offense to any 24-year-olds out there, but yeah, you're pretty young. So.
Exactly.
Okay, so after this scene that we're talking about where Anakin confesses his love, which I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you think happened in that room, Calvin, but for someone who is trying to tell Anakin, we cannot be together, she is certainly not dressed the part. She could like be wearing something else. I don't know.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
She chose a very conspicuous outfit to tell him we cannot be together. It's like this is really hard for this poor kid who's 20 years old. Like, come on.
I know, but I don't think anything happened. I think like she did it to maybe seduce him a little bit, but then she was like, what am I doing here? And then they went their separate ways that evening.
So you think she was like, okay, well, I'm not saying anything happened. I'm just saying I think it's weird that she chose that outfit to tell him, sorry, man, nothing can happen between us, even though we're like, we can't love each other, even though we're in this like nice romantic room with the fire and it's just the two of us sharing a glass of wine.
I don't think she went
with
into
some music.
that vibe with the intent to tell him, no, we can't do this. It's only because he brought it up.
So you think, okay. So you think she was just looking pretty for him.
Yes. And like,
and then she's like, oh, he's dropping the L word. What do I do?
Exactly. Timeout, TV timeout. And I think that sometimes some people in general will like tease a little bit and they like to like teeter over that line. Man. But then as soon as you call it something, they're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah,
you mean actual love?
That's definitely early 20s behavior. I think poor Anakin was not teasing anything. I think he was like, it looked like he was going to have a meltdown.
Yeah.
Like he was going to explode. This poor guy.
He was like, if you're suffering as much as I am, please tell me.
He's like, yeah, he was really, really struggling.
Yeah, I remember he was like, so you do feel something.
This poor guy. I know. I'm not trying to sympathize with the Dark Lord of the Sith, but still.
Well,
young Anakin.
Yeah, young Anakin. We can sympathize with him.
He's not
Darth Vader yet.
He's just an awkward teen who, man, this guy is just like, I don't know what to do with these emotions. So, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, soon after that, Anakin begins to feel his mother's suffering through the Force. He does these daily meditations, which are actually kind of cool. It's a beautiful landscape. All of that was filmed in Italy, right? Near Lake Como. So he's feeling the suffering through the Force. He's been having these dreams of his mother. They talk about it at the beginning of the movie in passing, so you know that it's got to be something. So he convinces Padme to accompany him, and disobeying Obi-Wan's orders, he takes her with him to Tatooine. There he reunites with Watto, which is actually kind of cool to see. I always like seeing what characters think of the character that we've been following and seeing their growth, what they have to respond, how they would respond to that. So it was nice to see Watto's reaction, who's like, hey, I got some deadbeats who owe me a lot of money. like, you want to help me out?
Yeah, like come on, Annie. You know, he's like, man, you're my slave one. I ain't helping you.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you really sprouted, huh? And it's like, dude, just tell me where my mom is.
A Jedi, what do you know?
What do you know? Yeah. So he tells him his mother married a moisture farmer named Klieg Lars, and he freed her. What a nice guy. At the Lars homestead, Anakin meets Klieg, his stepbrother Owen, that's Anakin's stepbrother Owen, and Owen's girlfriend, Beru. So future Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, which is cool to see. And
sorry,
I thought that was cool. Whoa, Calvin's
laughing, y'all, because Carlos just said, "You freed her. What a nice guy." And I there was a note of derision in that because it's like he freed her and then married her. Like, I'm gonna free you, and then you're gonna be married to me. Like, what are we doing here?
It was a little weird. When I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's great." He freed her and then married her. That's an awesome love story. This is teenage Carlos talking. And then rewatching this, I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
So he was at the market looking, and he's like, "Oh, I want you actually, and I'm gonna be the hero and free you." You know,
exactly. And then, so when you said, "Oh, what a nice guy," I was like, "Yeah, nice to himself."
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So Klieg,
sorry, super cool to see Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Our first time seeing them, super young, super great to see them.
And I love the fact that they kept these two actors in the Obi-Wan series. Mm-hmm. I thought that was great. I was like, this is awesome. I'm glad they came back. Like, I don't know Beru. I don't know that actor. Uncle Owen is played by, oh my gosh, I forgot his name.
Joel something, right?
Yes.
I just watched a show with
Joel
him.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Am I saying that right? Or am I?
Let me see.
No, Taron Egerton. I'm mixing that up with Taron Egerton.
Joel is Edgerton, one of the two.
Is it Egerton?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I just looked it up.
Oh, I wonder if they're related.
Yeah. And he's in, I know we're talking about Star Wars. He's in this, I just watched an incredible show on Apple TV Plus called Dark Matter.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. But I've been wanting to. Parallel universes, right?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
so good.
Better than Fringe?
Not better. Fringe is just like my favorite, but like,
Okay, so yeah.
yeah, but
That's
it's on the
overstepping.
same level. It's on the same level.
Okay, I'll check it out. Yeah, but okay, him, great actor. I really like him. He was in The Thing, the prequel to The Thing. So they're there along with the droid C3PO. It's nice to see C3PO completed with coverings and everything. And Klieg explains that Shmi was captured weeks earlier by Tusken Raiders. And it's funny, Tusken Raiders and Sand People, like Tusken Raiders is like the more derogatory term,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the Sand People. But Anakin finds her in a Tusken camp. He goes out to search for her. He finds her weak, beaten, and barely alive. It's pretty sad. It's heartbreaking to see that she dies in his arms. Yeah, especially because she even says like, "Good, now I'm complete." It's not like, "Oh, my dying words are go get these jerks who hurt me," or like kill all of these Tusken Raiders and their kids. She's just like, "Oh, I'm so happy. You're so handsome, and you're so like I'm so proud of you." And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think I find that the more I watch this, as the older I get, the sadder this becomes. Because I think when I saw it as a teen, I was like, okay, let's get to the part where he kills everyone. But like this scene is just like, it's heartbreaking that I mean, had he listened to his first instinct, when he was first telling Obi-Wan about these dreams, she might still be alive.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I can understand how it starts to become like the Jedi are just the Jedi Council, even though that's his life, it's kind of like a ball and chain that's restricting him, at least in his mind,
Mm-hmm.
restricting him from doing the things that he needs to do or that he wants to do to be happy. So it's really complicated and really sad, and he's overcome with rage and grief. I love this look he gives where you start to see him turn and you hear the
Yes.
violins. Yeah, and you're just like, oh my god, this poor guy. I mean, who wouldn't be that distraught to the point where you want to? I mean, I don't know, who knows?
E- Exactly, because I think sometimes people go too hard on Anakin. They're like, oh, he needs to calm his mind. Like, he just lost his mother, and in a violent way. She had been like held captive for a month. So, not condoning his actions by any means, but of course, like, he just lost his mother in his arms. It's
Yeah,
understandable.
yeah, and it's like the first time he's seen her in 10 years, and the first time you see someone in 10 years, and you only have what 30 seconds to talk, and then they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think that scene, there's a lot in it, and I think it just has a lot more emotional weight than I think is properly understood. But yeah, he slaughters the entire Tuscan tribe, which is crazy. Even the pets, like wow. But the men, the women, and the children, that I think the children was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, maybe
Horrible.
all the men, okay, maybe I can see that because they're attacking you, but the women and the children. So
Mm.
back on Coruscant, Yoda senses this. And I like that scene too, where you're hearing all the echoes of what Yoda's sensing. And you're hearing Qui-Gon say, Anakin, Anakin. Like, and I think he's hearing the, oh, and I don't know if that's supposed to be the Tusken Raiders or if that's supposed to be like other people who are just voicing their disappointment in Anakin. But
I think it's Qui Gon. Is he's saying? Because if you look at the subtitles, he says, "Anakin, Anakin, no."
okay. Oh, so that makes sense. I thought it was like Yoda was hearing, because the Tuscans, we only hear them as like, but I thought he was hearing them in a way that we could understand their pain. That's
Mhm.
what I thought he was doing. But that makes sense that Qui-Gon would be like, what are you doing? So yeah, and it's unfortunate because Yoda kind of like just has sympathy for Anakin. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's in incredible pain. Not like, oh, he just murdered everyone. He's thinking like it's terrible suffering that Anakin's
Yeah.
going through. So Anakin returns to the homestead with his mother's body, where they have a funeral, and Anakin reveals to Padme that he killed the entire tribe and he slaughtered them like animals. And she does her best to. I mean, it's sad, but it's just the delivery was very funny.
This is awful.
And she does her best to comfort him. Which, I mean, I got a lot of questions for Padme. I'll ask them to you, Calvin. What do you think is going through this young lady's mind right now? I mean, major red flag. He just admitted to mass murder by lightsaber. That's up close and personal when you're using a lightsaber to kill someone. So like,
No, it's not. It's not like you're sniping them from afar.
exactly. I mean, which is still horrible. So what do you think is good? Like, what would, I don't know. You tell me what's going on.
I love a bad boy. That's what she's saying. Bro,
I can fix him.
I can fix him. Like, all he needs is like some love, care, and support. And now that his mother's gone, there's nothing that'll distract him from me.
There's no one in my way now. And it's
No,
got dark
but
real fast.
I know,
Yeah.
I know I'm joking, but I think that's a part of it. I really do think that she has a lot of like sympathy for him just because, yes, she does see that he's angry, but I don't think that she's okay with what he did by any means. But I think she's like, look at it. This boy was a slave and like he
Yeah.
lost his mother, right? Like,
Yeah, she's
she
a very
like
caring person.
very
She's
caring
very
and like,
compassionate.
exactly. She saw how it like his mother was affecting him, even when she was like, "I'll go with you. Like, I
Yeah.
want to like support you like through this," So I just think that this speaks to like the love that she has for him. And when I think about some of like the great couples that I know, like even though, and I think this is different because he acknowledges like, I'm a Jedi, I know I'm better than this. Like, he
Yeah.
acknowledges that he messed up, which is different than him saying they deserved it, like I don't feel bad. And I
Yeah.
think because he ends with that, she's like, okay, like you feel bad, I don't need to say anything, you just need care and comfort.
Yeah. So she kind of gives him some points for acknowledging that he knows what he did was not good at all. It was wrong.
Exactly.
And it was concerning. So for her, that's enough.
Yeah, I think for her, we actually love. Okay, because she loves him so much. So yeah.
But she can't even say it. God, this girl playing games.
She can say it's.
That's true. She is going to say it soon. Yeah, and also, I don't know, she might be a little Tusken Raider, discriminatory. Who knows?
Prejudiced. They're just misunderstood. The same people are misunderstood.
They really are. Honestly, if you've ever seen Book of Boba Fett, you see that they are misunderstood for sure.
Absolutely. So, on Geonosis, Obi-Wan discovers a meeting between Count Dooku and the leaders of the Commerce Guilds and the Trade Federation, including Newt Gunray. And he learns that they're behind the Separatist movement and they've built a massive droid army. He also learns that Newt Gunray was the impetus for Amidala's assassination attempts as revenge for his defeat at Naboo. And so Obi-Wan was like, oh man, I gotta like tell this to the Jedi Council. But his long-range transmitter is knocked out. So he finds where Anakin is. And I remember he's like, what the blazes is he doing on Tatooine? I told him to stay on Naboo.
Yeah.
And so he quickly sends a message. And we see that after the funeral, R2-D2 informs Anakin and Padme of this. So they go back to the ship to listen. Anakin and Padme, they transmit the message to Coruscant, like Obi-Wan asked. And it just so happens that the Jedi are like in the same room as like Palpatine and some senators, like the Senator Organa at that time. I'm like, y'all were just having a meeting. Look at this. Right? And so the Jedi Council dispatches Mace Windu or Mace Windu dispatches himself rather to lead a strike team on Geonosis. Back with Obi-Wan, we see him tailing Jango Fett, and what ensues is an incredible chase where at first Jango Fett throws some stuff from the back of a ship at Obi-Wan and like he dodges it. Let me just say, Obi-Wan is not a bad flyer at all. Like, no, he hates flying, but he's solid.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing for sure.
Yeah. And then after a little bit, Jango actually gets behind Obi-Wan and then starts to fire at him. So he like fires, and then Obi-Wan's like dodging, and then eventually they're going through all the asteroids. So back with Obi-Wan, we see Obi-Wan is tailing Jango Fett thanks to the homing beacon he put on his ship, and what we see what ensues. So Obi-Wan, he's following him, and then Jango realizes that he's being trailed, and so he starts to throw some stuff from the back of his ship, and one of the things he throws back is a seismic charge. Carlos, How do you
Oh,
feel
the
about these
sounds.
seismic shocks,
This,
bro?
oh my God, goosebumps. Every time I hear them, it's burned to my memory. I'll never forget sitting in that theater and hearing that. I was like, oh, like I felt that vibration through my body
No,
with this
seriously.
boom. Like, yeah,
And
crazy.
just the way it looks, how like it kind of like implodes from like the center, and then like it
And
has like
it's,
a very thin like discharge that like goes out and just like cuts through all the rock,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. It like, you see the light first and it's silent. And then it
Yeah.
goes out and you hear the sound. What I love about the scene is there's no music.
Yes, it's one of the rare scenes in Star Wars that has no music.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's just makes it so, like, so tense. Like you're kind of just like waiting for something to happen.
Shout out to Ben Burke, the lead sound
Is it,
designer for the
oh
prequel
man, this
trilogies
guy.
and the original trilogy.
Yeah, awesome job. Great.
Incredible. So Obi-Wan, he's able to get away from the seismic charges, and then this is eventually how he ends up in front of Jango Fett. And so at first, Jango Fett is shooting some lasers at him. Obi-Wan, through his incredible flying, is able to avoid all of it, and then eventually he launches a rocket at Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan does get hit, but by some of the other lasers, but he's forced to eject all of his spare parts to hit the rocket, and then he hides behind an asteroid where Jango Fett assumes that he's dead. And then after a while, Obi-Wan powers the ship back on and follows Jango Fett to Geonosis. Once Obi-Wan makes it to Geonosis, he discovers a meeting between Count Dooku and the leaders of the Commerce Guilds and the Trade Federation, including Newt Gunray. And through this conversation, he learns that they are behind the separatist movement and they've built a massive droid army. He learns that Newt Gunray was the impetus for Amidala's assassination attempts as revenge for his defeat at Naboo. Obi-Wan transmits his findings to the Jedi Council through Anakin and Padme's ship. And I remember when he's looking for where Anakin is, he's like, "What the blazes is he doing on Tatooine? I told him to stay
Yeah.
on Naboo." And so R2 comes and tells Anakin and Padme they've got a transmission. So they go back to the ship. They transmit it immediately to the Jedi Council, where we see Mace and Yoda are actually with Palpatine and some of the other senators.
Yep.
So
Good timing.
Obi-Wan shares what he's found, that like Count Dooku has been leading the separatist movement, that they've like created a massive droid army, and then in the transmission they actually see him being attacked by droidicas. And so Master Windu, after seeing this, he tells Anakin to stay where he is and to protect the senator at all costs. And Padme's like, "What are you gonna do?" He's like, "Your friend, your mentor." Anakin's like, "He's like my father. I'm trying to follow his instructions. Like, I just killed this whole tribe. Okay, like I can't do anything else bad." But Padme is like, "Well, he gave you orders to protect me, and I'm gonna help Obi-Wan." And then Anakin's like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah, that works.
Right? Yeah, that works.
He's like, "Oh, I love you so much."
Yeah, like that's my girl. So they head to Geonosis, and then back on Coruscant, we see like the Jedi and the Senators are all kind of talking, and Palpatine and Master Meta are like, "Oh, well, there's no one that would have the confidence, the gall to vote for emergency powers to the Chancellor." And Jar Jar Binks is like,
Yeah.
and so he grants emergency powers, or he moves for a vote to grant emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor. And this allows Palpatine to deploy the newly discovered clone army. And this is where Mace Windu and Yoda split up. Mace Windu says that he'll take what Jedi they have and go to help Obi-Wan on Geonosis. And Yoda says that he'll go visit the cloners on Kamino, which I would have loved to see Yoda's go to Kamino and like the conversation he had with the cloners. That would have been really cool to see.
Where's that deleted scene?
Right.
Like, that's the scene I need to see for sure.
Exactly.
He's
That'd
like,
have been really cool.
Busy you've been. And they're like, "Hello. May we take a sample of your blood?" Like, it probably would have been like, "Have you been cloned in the past?" Yeah,
Right.
that would have been cool to see. And him boarding the ship, and he's like, "I'm your new general. Everyone listen to me." And all the clones are like, "Okay, yes, sir." Like, I don't know. I just think that, yeah.
It was really cool. And so then we actually cut to a scene between where Obi-Wan is locked up in this, suit. He's like being suspended.
Oh yeah, suspended. Yeah.
By these invisible like cuffs. and Count Dooku walks in. And it sounds like from their conversation, this is actually the first time that they've ever met, because Qui-Gon Jinn was Obi-Wan's Jedi Master, and Count Dooku was Qui-Gon Jinn's Jedi Master. And he tells Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon always spoke very highly of you. And he said, it's a shame that he's not here right now. I could really use his help. And when Count Dooku says that, you can really see some of the pain. Like he seems like he's actually hurt from Qui-Gon's death. Like he actually misses Qui-Gon. Like he really appreciated Qui-Gon as like an apprentice, and then later as a friend.
Yeah.
And then
it's kind of like he's talking to his grandson.
Exactly. And I just love everything about that whole scene because Count Dooku actually tells Obi-Wan the truth. He says, "What if I told you that the Republic?" Count Dooku says, "What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith?" Obi-Wan's like, "No, that's impossible. The Jedi would be aware of it." And he's like, "The dark side of the Force has clouded their vision, my friend," and tells him that it's under the control of Darth Sidious. Obi-Wan's like, "I don't believe you." And Count Dooku's like, "Join me, and together we'll destroy the Sith." And I think he's actually being serious in this moment.
Oh, for sure. I think so too. I agree.
And so I'll ask you about that in a second. So then we cut back to Anakin and Padme. They've made it to Geonosis to rescue Obi-Wan. They go through, I don't know what you would call that, this like factory
like a droid
of some
factory?
sort. Yeah, the droid factory. Thank you. And they end up getting captured. And we see some funny stuff with C-3PO. We see R2-D2 flying all around the place, which this was a big reveal at the time. I didn't know R2-D2 could fly.
Yeah, I didn't know he was equipped with all that shit. Like, where was that?
Exactly.
In the originals. Man, they downgraded him.
Right. So right before they go out to the battlefield, Padme admits her love to Anakin and says that she's been dying a little bit every day since he came back into her life, which that's some good writing. Say what you will, America. That's some really good writing. Like that's real love right there. I felt it. And they kiss. And then he was like, "You love me?" So funny. But anyway, so they're sentenced to death in this massive arena. They walk out, and Obi-Wan's looking at Anakin so annoyed. He's like, I was beginning to wonder if he'd even got my message. He's like, "We came to rescue you." He's like, "Good job."
Yeah. Even near death, he's still being like critical and judgmental of Anakin.
So funny. So they're chained, and then they're forced to battle these creatures, which the names are a Reek, a Nexu, and an Acklay. There's some, interesting creatures they have on Geonosis.
Oh, yeah. I think the Nexu is that cat-like rodent thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Acklay is like that big crustacean.
Yeah.
I loved this part. I loved this because this was another scene with no music.
Yes, it was.
And all you hear is the ambient noise of the cheering crowd, their drums, their horns, like they're at a baseball game. I just loved this. It was very gladiatorial, and I was like, this is so awesome to see in a Star Wars movie. I don't know. I never saw anything like that in any Star Wars movies before.
Yeah, same. It was really, really cool. And it's cool to see how Anakin and Obi-Wan and even Padme are able to hold their own without weapons.
Yeah. How Obi-Wan's like, just focus. Like, we'll be fine. We'll get out of this, kind of thing.
Exactly.
I thought that was cool. I like that. I was like, oh, this is cool. We're seeing Jedi training in action.
Exactly.
He's like, what about Padme? He's like, she's fine. Don't worry about it. Focus on what's ahead of you. So I thought that was really cool.
Definitely. So eventually they actually do get the better of their creatures. And then as, the droidekas come out to actually finally kill them, Mace Windu walks up with some incredible music. He walks out to the top ledge where all the big wigs are. He ignites his lightsaber, which is purple, and puts it right at Jango Fett's neck. And it's so funny, like Jango Fett's like, he like jumps back, like, oh shoot, like what in the world? And so
it was Count Dooku's neck, right?
No, it was Jango Fett's neck.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he has the lightsaber right here, and then he's talking to the Count Dooku like this.
That's right. That's right.
And so
Man.
Mace Windu tells him that the party's over. You see all over the stadium a bunch of Jedi igniting their lightsabers. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's so
cool.
incredible. And eventually some of the Trade Federation droids come, and then Mace Windu does his thing, jumps down the platform, and then the battle starts to get crazy. And we see just a bunch of stuff. Anakin and Obi-Wan gets some lightsabers back, some, borrowed lightsabers. They're fighting, they're killing droids. All the Jedi are just like doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. In this, we see like Jango Fett kills this Jedi called Coleman Trevor, which is such a funny name for like an alien like him. Yeah. He kills him with just like a few. I'm like, come on, that's all you Jedi like.
It's
dang,
like, what happened, bro?
That's it. Hey, we see a lot. Like, we can spend all day talking about this fight. Mace Windu kills Jango Fett with ease. That's really cool. Decapitates him. The Obi-Wan kills one of the creatures, and just an incredible fight. So a lot to unpack here, Carlos. There's so much in this film, but this conversation between Count Dooku and Obi-Wan, what do you think about that? Can you unpack that for us?
Oh, yeah, backtracking to Count Dooku and Obi-Wan. I like this because it's proof that the Sith, barring Palpatine, the Sith generally don't lie. They deceive, but I don't ever hear lies from them. And I'm talking about all content, like the Clone Wars, Rebels, anything like that. And so I like the fact that Count Dooku is not lying to Obi-Wan. Sure, his whole role is deceptive in that he's posing as whatever the political leader of the separatist movement, but he's not lying to Obi-Wan about what's happening, and he's doing it. Why? Because he's hoping that maybe he and Obi-Wan can eliminate Palpatine, and he could secure the future that he wants for the Republic. So I love this. I don't think Dooku was good at reading the room with Obi-Wan. You have to know your audience if you're going to try to persuade them. And so he just didn't do his homework, or maybe he was trying to get a read on Obi-Wan. But yeah, I really liked that scene, how he just straight up divulges not everything, but like just enough to get some intrigue from Obi-Wan.
To get some intrigue and to completely throw him off the scent. Yeah. Obi-Wan's like, no, they are not controlling the Republic right now.
Yeah, it was too much too soon. Like, you need to dilute that kind of truth for people to accept it. And I just think it's funny that Obi-Wan, and we were talking about this before, I mean, my read on Obi-Wan is that I consider Obi-Wan to be like, and I'm using air quotes here, the perfect Jedi, because he's like one of the most well-balanced. He's very powerful. He's very disciplined. So he's not like outright the most powerful. He's just very, very disciplined. And the way they talk about him, especially in the novelizations, is that he is very, extremely disciplined. He can kind of delve into the Force. And we do see that with his character. But like, because of that rigidity and discipline, he's not very flexible and not very imaginative when it comes to things like this.
Yeah.
And the only time the most we see him being creative and kind of like off book is in the arc with the arc in the Clone Wars where he poses as the assassin and he goes into that like high security prison on Coruscant or some planet, and he's basically trying to get information about some assassination attempt on Palpatine. And so that's when we see him the most that he's ever been. But like, this movie is prior to that, and so we just see him too rigid, and so he doesn't accept what Count Dooku's saying. He doesn't even lie about it. He doesn't even say like, okay, yeah, let's join forces. Like, tell me everything you know.
Right.
And I think you put it succinctly. He was a Ned Stark in this regard.
A Ned Stark.
Right?
Too honorable, too honest, and no savvy whatsoever.
Yeah. No savvy. Which is unfortunate because he's clever, but just not savvy when it comes to things like this. This is basically counterintelligence, potentially. This is basically like, okay, you have an opportunity to conduct some espionage here and you're not doing it. You're just on your moral high horse saying, I'll never join you,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those were my thoughts on that. But I think Dooku is a fascinating character. He is not a true Sith, and at least I don't think he is. And he doesn't have red eyes, that's for sure. And
it's true.
And he really is like idealistic. He's really politically motivated to change what's going on, as we've seen in Tales of the Jedi. He really wants the Republic to change. And he is coming from the mentality of a nobleman, somebody who has power and money and influence. and probably has some ideals that he wants seen come to life. And he knows he can't do it unless he uses some, he makes a deal with the devil. And now he's like, okay, I got to get out of this deal, because I think he knows that he's disposable.
Yeah, I think he knows that he's disposable, and he knows how powerful Palpatine truly is. And I think he's starting to see the end game. Like you want to create this like empire. I don't know about that, So I think he disagrees with Palpatine enough on as many things to be like, no, like my way is the right way. Join me. We can kill Palpatine. Which,
Yeah,
if it came down to it, they wouldn't stand a chance against him in a duel.
And I think it's funny because Dooku has met Maul. We see that when Maul is captured by Palpatine, and then he's rescued by the Mandalorians. And this is after Palpatine confronts Maul and what's his brother's name?
Savage Opress.
Yeah. As Mother Talzin says, Savage. Anyway, he when he fights them two, and then he kills Savage and he captures Maul. Like, we know Count Dooku knows about Maul. And we know that Maul killed his beloved apprentice, Qui-Gon Jinn. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be a lot of like mixed feelings, some complicated feelings there. Dooku is serving the guy who sent the other Sith after his own apprentice. And then, he died, and then he's back, and now Palpatine's trying to kill him, and he's using Dooku to do it. So I just feel like Dooku, he's way too clever. He sees the writing on the wall with all this.
Yeah.
He knows what's about to happen, and he's kind of like, okay, how far can I go before it's too late and I wind up with the same fate? And I think it's just really funny. All of these dynamics is just very interesting. Side note also, I think it's funny that Maul knows Dooku only after the Mandalorian and the Death Watch wake them up, and he's like, are you with Dooku or Darth Tyrannus? And he's like, oh, I don't know any of this Sith pretender. I think that was funny. So I just think it's funny, like all these Sith, all these people who are serving Sidious are not all joining up to kill Sidious.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense. They're all just kind of doing their own thing. And anyway, that's just.
But it makes sense because Sith don't work together. That's why the rule of two exists. Period, and that's the big major flaw of the Sith.
Yeah, and Sidious is very good at pitting people against one another.
100%.
But Dooku, he's a fascinating character. And if anyone ever gets a chance to listen to the audiobook, Dooku Lost, it's fantastic. Talking about his time training in the Jedi Temple as a teen, and he's friends with Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, or he's not a Jedi Master at the time, but it's great. It shows where he comes from, and it shows what influences the decisions that he makes later on.
Absolutely.
It's kind of funny when Mace Windu cuts Jango Fett's head off. There was this whole thing that you can see the head come out of the helmet.
And you can. I paid close attention to that. I saw that same thing. You can see it literally goes in another direction. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It's crazy that was included. Like,
I know. Great detail. Such great detail.
Yeah. And you know what I noticed rewatching is that Jango Fett tries to get away from Mace Windu. He's not just standing there. His jetpack fires, and the reason it was like having a hard time firing is because it got screwed up. It got messed up by that reek when it and it was like sparking. So I just think that's interesting. At the last minute, he tried to get out, and Mace Windu killed him.
But why would he try to get away if he went down there unsolicited anyway to get into the fight? So why did he like change up?
Because I think at the last moment he knew Mace Windu was closing in, and he like was about to chop off his hand. Because he was shooting, right? Firing, deflect. At a certain point, it was too close. So he starts firing his jetpack, and that's when he loses his arm, and then he loses his head.
Mace Windu's too good.
He's too good, man. He's too good, too powerful. Okay, so the Jedi are soon overwhelmed by the droid army, and it is an awesome scene. The Geonosians are firing what they got. The droids are firing what they got. The Jedi are doing what they can. They're kicking ass, but it's just too much. And so they all get in a circle. I think Dooku like provides one last ultimatum, and they're like, we won't be a bargaining chip or something like that.
We will not be hostages to be bartered, Dooku.
There you go. Thank you, Master Windu. So that happens. You think they're gonna die, and then Yoda comes in and saves the day with the clone troopers. Love this. Awesome to be able to see the clone troopers in action. This is like one of my favorite aspects of this movie. The fact that they got the different armor and the different like colors and the, what do you call it, the different ranking systems. And we see all their technology, which I don't know where they got that technology. I mean, that all that technology was made by certain corporations, but I don't know how the Kaminoans had that. Anyway, we can talk about that later. So they save the survivors. They form a perimeter. And it basically ignites the first battle of the Clone Wars. Like we have entered the Clone War. The Republic and the Separatists are in a de facto state of war right now. So outside the arena, the fighting escalates. Everything moves out there. The clones are fighting the droids. Clones are being dropped in. I love when they drop the, what is it? The ATMT? Is that what it is?
I think that's what I think. Or
it might be an ATTE or something.
Yeah, we got to look it up.
All-terrain troop, I forgot what, transport or something. But it is so cool when it gets dropped off by the ship and then the ship takes off. I love
so
stuff
good,
like that.
so good.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. It's just an incredible detail. So the Republic is gaining the upper hand, and it's forcing the Separatists to retreat, which is really worrying the Trade Federation, New Gunray, all the people who are part of this Separatist coalition. And they're all taking off. Poggle, the Lesser, who's the leader of the Geonosians, he's one step down from the Queen, I believe. He tells Dooku he's got to take his soldiers into the catacombs so that they can go underground and get away from the clone troopers. But he gives the plans to the Death Star.
What?
To Count Dooku. Calvin, I cannot tell you the reaction I had as a teen watching this movie. Me and my cousin looked at each other like, what? Like straight up, exactly what you did right now. We were like, what the? It was mind-blowing for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome. Anyway, Count Dooku, he attempts to escape, but he's pursued by Obi-Wan and Anakin. They can never just take this guy down. Dooku, he basically gets out his lightsaber, ready to fight. Anakin and Obi-Wan, they confront him at some other landing platform after they're chasing him, after they basically lose Padme. She falls out of the ship. And Dooku straight up just force lightnings Anakin. He just incapacitates him because Anakin's an impulsive child. And it sends him flying. So Obi-Wan's like, all right, okay, well, that's out the window. And I got to duel this guy myself.
After he literally told Anakin, like, I can't take Dooku alone. Yeah. I need you.
Yeah. And Anakin's like, no, I'm taking him now. And he's like, no. Yeah, it's just like, oh, jeez. But thankfully, like, well, Obi-Wan he gets cooked by Dooku. He is dispatched rather quickly for being an experienced Jedi Knight.
He really is. I'm like, for the fight to have been that short is like, Obi-Wan, really? And then the injuries that he gets, I'm like, stand up, bro. Like, yeah, are you really that hurt?
It's a flesh wound, man. Come on. These are burns.
For real.
But yeah, I mean, it's also like a testament to Dooku's prowess because he is one of the greatest swordsmen in the temple, maybe aside from the sword master. Yeah. I forgot his name, but you know who I'm talking about. So
Syndralic.
There you go. Syndralic thing. So Anakin recovers rather quickly, and before Dooku is gonna land the killing blow towards Obi-Wan, Anakin comes in and saves his master. He attacks Dooku, but he gets Obi-Wan's lightsaber. You have a cool couple seconds where he's dual wielding, but then he's quickly disarmed. In the fight, Dooku actually cuts off Anakin's right arm, and he incapacitates Anakin. So now they're both done. And Dooku is preparing to kill them both. Yoda arrives, and they engage in some dialogue, and Yoda just starts fighting like we've never seen before. And first they do their wizard battle, right? He does the electricity, he blocks it. And then they start throwing things at each other, and Yoda's just like, not my house. Yep. And then he's like, all right, we have to settle this with our skills and with the lightsaber. And Yoda comes out swinging and flipping and jumping, something we've never seen Yoda do before. This was also another, oh my God, moment in the theater.
Yes.
Truly awesome to see. The two masters of the Force are battling, to a stalemate. We also learned that Dooku was one of the apprentices to Yoda in Yoda's 900 years living. Dooku drops a pillar on Obi-Wan and Anakin to create a distraction. Yoda saves them, and Dooku escapes on his solar sail. So tell me, Calvin, what did you feel about this lightsaber duel? How would you rank this lightsaber duel?
Oh yeah, definitely incredible.
Also, what styles are they using? Because I don't really know lightsaber styles. You do.
Oh yeah, for sure. So first, let me just say Obi-Wan, after like he learned a form 4, which is Ataru, the acrobatic form from Qui-Gon. But after realizing how much energy it expended, he switched and started to learn Surisu, which is the defensive form. And at this point that we're seeing Obi-Wan, he's using form 3 Surisu, but he's not an expert. He doesn't become elite in the form until we see him in episode 3. Now, so Form 3, Surisu is all about defense. It's defense, defense, defense. Like they say in football, defense wins championships. That's what Obi-Wan went to. So Obi-Wan is using Form 3. Dooku, and this is also why he has a curved hilt, he's using Form 2 called Makashi. And Makashi is a form that is specific to lightsaber dueling. And, when Dooku was in the Jedi Order, a lot of Jedi would ask him, like, why are you using Form 2? Like, we don't fight any Sith, but, like, he was all about, like, the art of dueling, the art of fighting, which is why Count Dooku is such an excellent duelist, because he's using the form that is specific to lightsaber dueling, like Makashi, or Makashi. My apologies. So Count Dooku's using Form 2, so he's like excellent. He's chopping through these people easily. Anakin, so the double bladed or the 2 lightsaber form is called Jarkai. So that's the Ahsoka was an expert in Jarkai because she uses like 2 lightsabers. Anakin had practiced with it a little bit, but he wasn't like an expert. That's why Count Dooku chops off one of the lightsabers pretty quickly. And then this is where I'm a little unsure. At this point, I think Anakin had started to like use Gem So, which is all about like power, right, and force. But I don't know that Anakin is elite in Gem So Form 5 at this point yet. And then when Yoda comes in, Yoda, because he's so small, he has to use Ataru. So, and again, Ataru Form 4 is all about jumping around acrobatics, and we see Yoda doing a lot of that. So just to add some context, those are all the lightsaber forms that we see at play in this. But, I mean, yeah, the Yoda and Count Dooku fight, it ranks up there, at least in the top like 3 or 4. If not, if anything, just for the shock value of seeing what Yoda could actually do with the lightsaber. We saw him as this like wise old Jedi in Empire and Return of the Jedi. And, when he told Luke, for 800 years have I trained Jedi, we're like, oh man. But to see him actually like, yo, like, I'm really the business. This is me in my heyday. I'm the business. I'm the grand master of the order. It was just absolutely incredible. So one of the best fights for sure.
Absolutely. And it would be cool to see Yoda at some point, maybe 300 years or so before this.
Carlos.
Because that would be him at his peak, right?
I promise you, I was about to say that just now. I literally no. I'm so serious.
It's
I was literally
been
like
doing this too long, man.
Right. I was like, I want to see a 300-year-old Yoda.
Yeah.
It like
or whatever
200-year-old
or something. Whatever.
Exactly. 500-year-old Yoda. Come on.
I want to see a middle-aged Yoda.
Yes, exactly. I want to see a no cane Yoda. Maybe a little gray, but no cane.
Exactly. Like I want to see peak Yoda.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Obviously he wouldn't be as wise, but he would be pretty damn powerful.
Yeah, 100%.
Like physical. Very, yeah. So that would be awesome.
For sure. So Dooku travels to Coruscant's industrial district where he meets Darth Sidious and confirms that everything is going as planned and that the war has begun. Back at the Jedi Temple, Yoda, Mace Windu, and Obi-Wan discuss Dooku's warning that Sidious is controlling the Senate. Yoda doubts it, saying that the dark side breeds fear and mistrust, but agrees that the Council must keep a close watch. Meanwhile, Palpatine oversees the launch of the massive clone army alongside Bail Organa and the other senators. And on Naboo, Anakin, now with a mechanical arm, secretly marries Padme. and the only witnesses are C3PO and R2D2. So, and that ends Attack of the Clones. So, Carlos, I have a question later about Owen and Beru having
Mhm.
C3PO and not recognizing him in episode 4. But before that, how do you feel about this movie, Carlos? Because this movie sometimes divides fans, but
Yeah, I think this movie deserves a lot more credit. I know it's not everyone's favorite out of the prequels, but I mean this movie is holds a special place in my heart only because episode 1 obviously was the first time I had seen a Star Wars movie as a kid in the theaters. This movie, I was already in high school. I was already anticipating things. It had been 3 years since we had seen something, and I thought the story in this movie, even though it was there was some things that there were some holes, I think it was just a much like better, superior story and like superior dialogue. And I'm like I'm really trying to be diplomatic about that, but like than the first one. And so I just think episode 2 was such a step up from episode 1, and I love that it went in this different direction of not just typical Star Wars like good versus evil. This was like it had crime drama, it had a love story, it had a conspiracy, it had a lot of we were introduced to a lot of the political aspects of what's going on, a lot of the nuance.
yeah,
And on top of that, we're seeing the start of the war, like all the moves that have to take place for a war to occur. It doesn't just happen. There are so many things that have to be set in motion. And so I love that we got that. And so, yeah, that's, I don't know what else to say about it, but that's how I felt about this movie.
yeah. I echo much of that, if not all of that. And I said earlier, I wore this movie out when it came out because this came out in '02. I remember I had the DVD where it is disc 1 and disc 2, right? And disc 2 was
Mm-hmm.
all the special features. And this was the newest movie that we had for 3 years. So for 3 years until Revenge of the Sith, I wore this movie out. And
Yeah.
rewatching it again with like this renewed lens, it still holds up to me. I think the CGI still holds up. I think the storyline holds up.
Yeah.
I think that you can see how there's so many things that you can see that point to how things get to the way they are in the original trilogy. You can see how the Jedi is failing Anakin and like the way that he's struggling internally. You can see how like Sidious is playing both the Republic and the Separatist movement to create this war in order to garner power. You can see how the Jedi have lost their way. So it's definitely a step up. There's a lot of action. You get to see Jedi fighting. You get to see Yoda fighting. You get to see this like dynamic between Anakin and Obi-Wan. You can see Obi-Wan like trying to find his way. And I just think that this movie is incredible. I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the fact that even though I think, and I mean, this is just my opinion, I know you and I talked about this, how I felt like there could have been a little bit more chemistry between Anakin and Padme, because I see that chemistry in the Clone Wars. Like I see Anakin and Padme's characters in the Clone Wars. I really believe their love and their friendship and their playfulness. And so I think the one thing I will say is I would have liked to have seen that a little bit more, or at least like taken up a notch.
Yeah.
But this is nothing against Hayden Christensen or Natalie Portman. I still like the fact that we had a love story. And I think the only thing with this movie is that I feel like the love story deserves more attention, and it doesn't get enough attention because we're also constantly going back and forth between that
Yeah.
and this like plot of intrigue and conspiracy and assassination attempts. And it's a shame because I feel like you could really make two separate movies out of those two things.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
regardless, I everything you said, I agree with that. And I am happy that they pushed the boundary on this movie where we got new locales, new species, things that I never thought I'd see, a gladiatorial style arena like in Star Wars where people are being sacrificed. We got a chase scene through like a Blade Runner style chase scene on
Mm-hmm.
flying cars, like Fifth Element style as well, like in the Capitol. Those are the things that I wanted to see. I didn't know I wanted to see them until I saw this movie. So I
Mm.
like when people can like push the boundary like that and be like, I didn't even think about this, but now I'm seeing it. And so now what the heck am I going to see in this next movie?
Yeah.
And that's what we got.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like, do I think there are some things that could have made this movie even better? Yeah, sure. Like, increased dialogue, more
Sure. Yeah.
context, more backstory,
Yeah.
especially where as it relates to like Count Dooku, the Military Creation Act. But overall, it's still a great film, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been hours. But I think we both agree that there are some deleted scenes that if they had stayed in, they would have just only enhanced the movie. And they weren't
Oh
even that
yeah,
long.
oh yeah, yeah. And they're super quick deleted scenes.
Yeah. Like a
Yeah,
minute.
right. And with that, we wrap up another episode of Epic Saga Society.
We hope you enjoyed exploring the Star Wars universe today as much as we did. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast.
Join us next time as we continue our coverage of the Star Wars films with Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
This is Carlos
And Calvin.
signing off from Epic Saga Society.
Stay epic.